Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today, we need to discuss whatever the waste of 2 hours this Celebrity Big Brother Season 3 was tonight. What in the world? Why did they do this to us and string us along for 2 hours of nothing? They could have at least gave us some of the entertaining live feeds footage, like when Lamar Odom ripped up Todrick's cards, or when Lamar Odom and Todrick were arguing. They could have given us some actual entertainment, but instead they gave us nothing but filler and embarrassment and a waste of time, you guys. So the episode, again, we are still picking up from the original, nominations and the aftermath of, they did like a full, it felt like a 5-minute recap, you guys. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, what are we doing? I'm like, why can't we just go straight to the veto? There was not extensive game talk going on. I have no idea why Cynthia and Carson are pondering as to why they are not sitting on the block together. Girl, take it as a sign that you were not nominated, that they weren't trying to get rid of you. Why do you need to be attached to Carson at all times? You have to either be on the block together or not. That's not how it goes, girl. Oh, man, I wish this cast watched some previous seasons in Sequester. I have no idea. That needs to be a mandatory requirement. Just like one of my subscribers said, have a test, have an exam, have them pass 80%. And me, have sample competitions. Especially now that CBS is incorporating some sort of challenge spinoff with all these reality stars from different shows, including Big Brother. People need to know what's happening. People need to know what's going on. And then there was even more cringeworthy moments. So Carson and Cynthia had this bright idea that, whoever wins veto, we'll just convince them not to use it and just vote out Lamar. And I'm like, seriously? They weren't going to use it anyways, no matter who won the veto. As long as it wasn't Carson or Cynthia, nobody planned on using it. And they were talking about it like it was breaking news. I was like, you guys need to stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. So finally we get into the veto competition. Grotner is in love with Misha. We are getting all this boxing segments, all of her training segments, how she has to lose 17 pounds for her case, not her case. She's not going to court, for her fight coming up in May. And then all that exercising and throwing those heavy, weighted balls down. I'd be pissed if I was sleeping under her and I heard all of that ruckus going upstairs. Oh, I would be hot. But she's dedicated to her craft and everything else. She's been diligent with this little workout routine. We got a lot of Lamar tonight, a lot of Lammy tonight. From him not understanding the electric stove. That was hilarious. Him speaking on, different things in terms of he's been through so much. He has been through so much. He said that his mom died back in 1982 and his grandmother had raised him since, as well as, of course, one of his children dying of SIDS and wanting to win that money and donate it. However, I'm a little agitated because when Lamar Odom was telling all of this information, it was very heartbreaking. It was very emotional. It was very raw. And here's Todrick with no emotion, who is just steadfast on playing solitaire and just flipping those cards. And I see why Lamar Odom ripped them up previously, because it was all that Todrick wanted to do. He's using it as a mechanism to avoid having intimate and personal conversations with people. And I don't like it. But when it's an opportunity for him to try to make himself look presentable for America, he has no problems talking all day. But when it's somebody else, he acts like he's disinterested. He acts like he doesn't care. And he's all about the solitaire. And I have had it with Todrick. OMG. So we get finally to the veto, because as you know, we're at top 6, so everybody plays, and it's actually a mental comp. And so I'm like, this would be a shoo-in, obviously, for Carson, because he's usually good at these. And I was actually surprised. To be honest with you guys, I'm pretty good at mental comps, and this mental comp was a little bit of a doozy. Like, I'm gonna have to rewatch the comp specifically to see, like, if I could get it, because it was a lot. It was a lot going on. But basically, the point of the comp was, and they've done this before, where, they have this veto. Basically, he's like a VIP veto, essentially. And so the point of the game is they're going to see the veto. Basically, he's going to go on a limousine, he's going to go on a plane, he's going to go on a yacht, he's going to go on all of these different things. And what'll happen is the veto will drop, for instance, in a limo, and there's like 3 limos. So you have to decipher between A, B, and C. They'll like shuffle around the different limos. You'll see which limo he gets into first, and then they do all the shuffling around and everything else, and then you have to figure out, once all of the shuffling is done, kind of like little card games or little games where you have to guess like where the ball is. That was essentially what you had to do. You had to guess between A, B, and C where the veto was, where the VIP veto was. So they had all kinds of ones. Like, I think there was like 6 or 7 that they did, and I was actually surprised at Carson. He like did awful this game. Todd did really well. Cynthia was hanging in there, and then just, completely fell apart at the end. Todrick, Misha, and Todd were neck and neck for a little bit. And Lamar just had no shot, at all. Like, he answered a couple, but he was never really in it, to be honest with you. So, Todd had missed one early on that ended up biting him at the end, and Todrick had ended up missing one, so we didn't have to do a tiebreaker or anything like that. And so that is how Misha came out of nowhere and won her first veto comp. So she's got 2 HOHs as well as a veto competition win now. And they need to get her out. Like, I don't know. Like, it just agitates me more, because I'm like, Carson, you wasted your HOH. You wasted your HOH on hearsay from 2 people you haven't even been working with. And it completely tanked all of your games as a result. Chris Kirkpatrick started it off with backdooring himself, Shayna getting herself backdoored. Like, it was just, you guys knew you guys were going to be picked off if you guys did not do something. And instead, you fall right into the trap of Todrick and Misha, because you're letting your personal friendship with Todrick outside of the game dictate how you're playing the game that you don't know how to play. And you're just openly telling everybody's business, because now Misha is mad at Todd because Cynthia basically tells Misha that Todd is coming for her. And it's like, what are you guys doing? And she doesn't understand that Todd is trying to win favor with Cynthia, potentially work with Cynthia, potentially, have a jury vote from Cynthia if he makes it to the end. Like, even Todrick picked up on that and picked up on what the strategy was. And Cynthia has no clue. Meanwhile, she is still going to Todrick and Misha and playing tattletale. So it is just a hot mess. And it's like she's literally handing everything over to them on a silver platter. And that's why they're going to keep her, because she's basically now playing a rat game like she got Shayna out for. Like, it's all a mess. It is all a mess. And this is just wackiness that has happened. So they show basically, Carson trying to convince Misha to not play the power of veto, even though she had no intentions of doing it anyways. And then as a last ditch effort, Carson and Cynthia pull Todrick aside, try to play at his heartstrings, and try to say, hey, let's make a Final Four deal if you agree to vote out Lamar. And he's like, what? And he's like, you will have 2 guaranteed jury votes if you do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, don't make promises like this. And you have no idea what's happening on the outside. You have no idea the crap that Todrick has said about you in this house. Don't do it. Please don't do it. So Todrick is like entertaining it. He's telling Misha. Misha's basically like, look, target, Carson's been our target from day one. We need to get him out. He's still a huge threat. And, this and that. And so then they're also talking about now shifting their target over to Todd. So it looks like they're going to take out Todd Bridges, because now all of a sudden, after winning one competition after 3.5 weeks, apparently Todd Bridges is now a threat. He is now a threat. He's a threat in terms of jury. In terms of the jury, he's a threat, but he is not a competition threat by any stretch of the imagination. That is Misha and Misha only, because the rest of the compies are out of the house, which were Shayna and Chris Kirkpatrick. So, and now Carson. So, therefore, it's just you, Misha, and Todd Drick bringing it up the rear. Like literally bringing it up the rear. So they're trying to target Todd now, which is just wild to me, because I'm like, seriously? But if that opens the door for Lamar Odom to make it to the finale, then I am here for it. So obviously we get to the veto meeting. Obviously Misha does not use the veto. Reality starts to set in for Carson. This is the end. This is the end of the road. We're done. There's nothing. Even though they're still trying to convince people, like literally they woke up today and realized, oh my gosh, I have to play the game. Oh my gosh, I have to save myself. And I'm like, where was this energy, Carson, when, you knew you had to save yourself, and when Veto, you knew you had to save yourself, and when HOH, and even when Shayna used her veto on you to save you, and now all of a sudden that you're vulnerable, now all of a sudden you want a game. But any other time you didn't feel like gaming. You just let other people run the show for you. So it was just all a hot mess. I was cracking up because I'm like, you guys are hilarious trying to rationale crazy and rationale wild and wacky gameplay, and it was just a mess. And so then we had a filler segment with Jerry O'Connell, because I don't know if you guys know, but yesterday on The Talk was Jerry O'Connell's 50th birthday. So he had Sheila E. play for the whole show, because it was like an 80s theme. And Shayna, who's getting booked and busy, she was one of the guests on the show to talk about Big Brother, as well as they did a pre-recorded happy birthday message from the house guests in the house to, play for Jerry O'Connell. So somehow Jerry O'Connell is now here, interviewing with Julie Chen, because as you know, The Talk was, her baby. And, and rumors were allegedly Jerry O'Connell was supposed to be on this season. But they slashed the budget allegedly to accommodate this new challenge show that CBS is coming up with, this challenge spinoff that we should know a lot more about pretty soon, in terms of there's rumors of who's getting phone calls. There's rumors of people who may or may not be confirmed, but we will know very soon. Once, those select people, as well as potential alternates, leave to go film for the show. So stay tuned for that, because we are definitely going to update that when it happens. But Jerry low-key dragged Todrick. He basically was talking about how he knows everybody that's in the house and outside of the house, was shocked that Chris Kirkpatrick was gone, was blindsided by Shayna leaving, couldn't believe that they just believed the lie. Jerry had a longer segment than the evicted house guests. Like, I just had no idea what was happening. I didn't know why the episode was so long. I'm like, are we going to see an HOH competition? Like, why is this 2 hours tonight? We could have did all of this in an hour. I just didn't understand. And so he was dragging Todrick, basically like, I would not do his gameplay. His gameplay is too much. It is doing too much. It is not nice. It is dirty. It is raw. It is just not his speed. It's not his jam. So finally that segment ended, and we finally get to the vote. And, Carson, he's, saying all of this praise and that he can't campaign against Lamar. Who are these celebrities? What do you mean you can't campaign? You guys, if you want to stay in the house, you could have at least said something pertaining to the game that, could have been beneficial, but of course not. Of course you don't. And so then Lamar, he says, his few things, basically thanking his kids and everything else, and also quoted his grandmother and how you meet people for a reason, for a season, and for a lifetime, and that he hopes that he has made lifetime friendships with the entire cast. So I thought that was really sweet, and I hope Lamar gets to the finale. We have to find a way to get Todrick out of the house and get Lamar Odom to the finale, because I think it could get very interesting, because I think pretty much Misha wins against everybody, but since it's going to be a bitter jury, I like Todd Bridges and I like Lamar Odom's chances, but Todrick has zero chance. I don't know if Todrick doesn't realize that the evicted house guests on celebrity seasons see everything. So there's no like sequester at the jury house where you're only seeing the HOH comp and the veto comp. Oh, no. They're seeing episodes, they're seeing live feeds, they're getting sent clips by the fans of all the nasty things that you said about all of them so that they can play that and cuss you out next Wednesday on finale night. And I can't wait for it. So we get to the vote. Todd Bridges, of course, cannot vote. Of course, the nominees cannot vote. So we get right to the vote, and we get to Misha first. She gives her vote. She obviously is going to vote to evict Carson. Next, we get to Cynthia, who is obviously going to vote to evict Lamar. And then we get to Todrick, who, of course, votes out Carson. There was no way he was voting out Lamar over Carson. That was just never going to happen. So Carson leaves. And then it's like, it's funny, like when you have, you know how your parents are like, go away for the weekend when you're a kid, or like they go out of town for like a trip and they're like, yeah, and I left, I cooked this for you. It's in the oven, it's in the refrigerator or whatever. And I made your favorite spaghetti, your favorite meal, or there's some pizza. Here's some money left on the, counter for you guys to order a pizza for the weekend and this and that. And Carson goes, yeah, you guys, I left a meatloaf in the oven for you guys. And I'm just like, it was just giving me flashbacks because it just reminds me so much of like when your parents do like those impromptu, like out of town weekends or them impromptu trips when you're younger. And they'll be like, oh yeah, here's the money for you guys to get this or whatever. And, we made this and this is in the oven. So just take that out in an hour and you'll have dinner for tonight and blah, 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 blah. Like that's what it was giving. So then Carson gets evicted and I'm thinking, yes. And there's like people in the audience, a lot of people from, I think, the crew and everything, because they really like Carson. Because Carson did a lot of the narrating this season of kind of everybody's story and what was happening. And so I thought, okay, now here we are. We've got time. Let's go in, Julie. Give it to him. Give it to Carson. Call him out. And it didn't. It fell flat. It felt very flat. I was so disappointed. I cleared my schedule to watch tonight, only to be disappointed. I should have just watched Love is Blind. I should have just finished the Love is Blind episodes and just fast forwarded to the live vote. That's all I should have did tonight because I wasted 2 hours of just foolishness. So all Julie presented it as, she asked why on her HOH she did not, Carson did not take out Misha. Why did you had her on the block? She didn't win veto. Like, why didn't you take her out? And why did you waste your HOH basically on Shayna? And Carson's all like, I had a moment today and I realized that, everything's about integrity and this and that. And, we knew how Misha and Todrick were, but when we found out Shayna was playing both sides, we just had an issue with that. And looking back on it now, even though it was wrong, we should have kept Shayna in the game because now obviously I'm out of the game. And it's like, well, duh. And then also Julie was asking him, how is it that you're able to trust Misha and Todrick's words over Shayna's actions, who saved you from being on the block with her veto? And Carson, you start to see visibly on his face that like he's starting to put things together, but he fully doesn't know the full shebang of like the magnitude of what is about to hit him. But I just I was like, Julie, you can't hint to Carson and Cynthia. You need to tell them, you have to be blunt with them and tell them, listen, you got played. You got bamboozled. You got led astray. Misha and Todrick straight up lied to you. And they took advantage of you. And you guys fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And you guys are getting picked off as per usual of what everyone else predicted. And it just didn't happen. So I saw some rumors online that Spoiler Guy was saying, allegedly, we do not know, but you'll remember, like, Carson was saying how he's, like, traumatized and all this other stuff. Apparently he was, like, asking as soon as the filming wrapped how soon he could watch back the episodes, because I think, like, something must have clicked for him at that point. So I cannot wait to hear these post show interviews, because I just hope they give it to him raw. Like, listen, what are you doing? So I think him and Cynthia are gonna feel really bad. I truly do, once they realize that they fell for a con. So there's that. And so then from here, I'm thinking, okay, let's get into an HOH competition. And so they play, of course, the goodbye messages and everything else. And I'm just thinking to myself, that would have been a good opportunity for good jury management, Misha and Todrick, to, tell them, hey, sorry we had to lie to you to get Shayna out of the game because she was one of our biggest competitions. But they didn't do that. So instead, they are going to be sent all kinds of clips moving forward. So after that, we then find out that Monday is going to be a double eviction. So likely, because it looks as though really the HOH is between Todrick, Misha, and Lamar. So I'm thinking Todd is probably going to go out next since he can't play in the HOH. And I think if not Todd, I hope that Lamar wins HOH. That way he can pull out either Todrick or Misha. That's what I'm hoping. But the problem that Lamar is going to have is Cynthia's not going to vote out Todrick. So that'll be interesting. I think what's going to happen is Cynthia will definitely vote to keep Todrick, so she'll vote out Misha, and then Todd will vote out Misha. So then from there, they will, Lamar would be the tiebreaker at that point. So that could be interesting. That could be a very interesting turn of events. So my predictions on who's going to go Monday, depending on who's HOH, but I think it's going to be, I hope it is Todd and Todrick. Or maybe, I would love for it to be Todrick and Misha, but I've resigned to the fact, I've come to acceptance that Misha somehow is going to be in the finale. I don't know if she's going to be final two, but she's somehow going to be in the finale because Grodner loves her. So I've accepted that she's a shoo-in. So we just have to get out Todrick, really. But I'm hoping Lamar can find a way to get there. Lamar and Cynthia, that would be my ideal final two, but I know it's not realistic. I know it's not realistic because they have to win something, and they have not won as of yet. So unless they plan on doing like a basketball competition for Lamar, I don't know how he's getting to the finish line, like unless somebody drags him. So hopefully they can do some more endurance comps that's going to be beneficial for Lamar Odom's physique and athleticism, as opposed to certain the endurance comps that they have had that has kind of benefited people who are more on the petite side and shorter and this and that. So we'll see what comes of that. So in addition to Monday being the double eviction, because then we're going to go from 5 people to 3. Also, they released the text message number for you guys to vote for AFP. Since Chris Kattan doesn't have a jury vote as well, he's not going to be eligible to win AFP. So they put up only the 10 house guests instead of the 11th. And also, you can only text once a day who you want to win AFP. And it seems like the fandom is split between Shayna and Lamar. So this could be very interesting. This could be very interesting. I don't know why people are splitting votes for Todd, because I don't think that's going to help matters, unless they're just trying to get him in the top 3. But I think Lamar and Shayna will probably be top 2 for sure. So, and of course the prize money is back to $25K and this and that. So, and then the last thing that they did, they showed family messages. So Julie told, Lamar what the final score of the Super Bowl was. She went around the room and asked everybody, who do they miss? And first and foremost, she would think Todrick would say his family, and he says his dancers that allegedly he doesn't pay, that's rehearsing for the tour. So everybody got messages, and I felt that the production team was being very strategic on whose families they showed first. I felt like that was low-key some sort of a boot order. That's what it was giving me. Because look what happened. So they had Todd Bridges' family show up first. And they had like his sister, his mom, his kids, and everything else. And then they had, from there, it was Cynthia, I want to say, went next. And then it went to Todrick, that was next, which was his mom. And then it went to Lamar Odom, who had a visit from Meta World Peace, aka Mr. Ron Artest. So they have been friends since they were 12 years old. So, and you could just tell it really touched Lamar. And then Misha, her fiance, and 2 kids. So it was giving me a potential boot order of what production is expecting to happen or what production hopes to happen. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I felt like they were low-key trying to give a boot order of it being Todd going next, then Cynthia, then Todrick, then Lamar. Lamar would be, top 2 with Misha. That's what it was giving. So if you guys have not seen that, definitely watch that back. Watch the order of the family messages. I think there is something to that. I definitely think there is something to that, especially since Todd Bridges does not play in this HOH coming up. So this will be very interesting if this turns out to be right. If Monday's double eviction is a combination of either Todd and Todrick or Todd and Cynthia. So we will see. We will see what happens from there. But please let me know your guys' thoughts. What did you guys think of tonight's 2 hours of wasted time when we could have just had 1 hour of the veto ceremony, of the veto comp, and a little bit of gaming, and we got to the live vote and everything else, and we kept it moving? So, but the next is going to be the realization and the shock from Carson when he realizes he got played by his friend, and not only played by his real life friend, but also disrespected and talked bad about. And he's going on and on and on about integrity, only for him to realize that he was not all the way, with integrity either. And he needs to own some of the things that he was saying that were pretty disgusting about Shayna and other people in the house. So I think this is going to hit him hard once he realizes the magnitude of what just happened. So that is all that I have, you guys. Please let me know you guys think of this. Who do you guys think is going to go in the double eviction Monday? What are your guys' picks? And who do you guys think is going to win? I think barring something crazy happening, I think it's Misha's to lose, unless Lamar is sitting next to her, or unless it's a Lamar and Cynthia final 2. Or by some miracle, a Todrick and Cynthia final 2. That would be wild too. But yeah, I expect Misha to be in one of those final 2 chairs, like I said, unless a miracle happens. And the way that this edit is going, it's like I'm hoping that Lamar can get to one of those final 2 chairs somehow as well. So we will see. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again soon.